Kosha, let's start with the latest. A few hours ago, Donald Trump appeared in a Manhattan court for the start of a civil fraud trial that has the potential to cripple his business. Certainly it is taking up valuable time that he should be devoting to campaigning. The former US president and his two sons are currently in court facing allegations that they artificially inflated their assets by nearly $3 billion. President Trump labelled the politically motivated charges as the single greatest witch hunt of all time.
This is a continuation of the single greatest witch hunt of all time. We have a rogue judge who rules that properties are worth a tiny fraction, 1/100th, a tiny fraction of what they actually are. We have a racist attorney general who's a horror show, who ran on the basis that she was going to get Trump before she even knew anything about me. She used this to run for governor. She failed in her attempt to run for governor. She had virtually no polling. She came back and she said, well, now I'll go back to get Trump again. And this is what we have. It's a scam. It's a sham. Just so you know, my financial statements are phenomenal.
Kosha, this next bit of footage certainly doesn't help New York Attorney General Letitia James, nor the judge. These are the sort of antics we're about to see. You'd expect in some sort of, I don't know, third world despot country. Have a look at how the Attorney General is glaring at Trump during this footage, and then watch the judge's reaction, the glee, when he sees that the cameras are on him.
You're more likely to have cameras in state proceedings, and so it's up to the discretion of the judge. And quite frankly, I'm not too sure that both parties wouldn't want this. I think that Trump views this, the optics of this, as working to his advantage. Look, people looking at this live picture right now will be either filled with rage or they will be thrilled. And that's the problem, is that, you know, you have James now being shown in the background, you've got Trump in the foreground, and it fulfills the narrative on both sides. Trump is likely right. I mean, he's being shown in a sort of tag team series of prosecutions and civil lawsuits where one prosecutor tags another. They're all insisting on these trials occurring before the election. There are many people that find that troubling.
Hardly sober deliberations there, Kosha. Some of them seem to be enjoying their time in the spotlight.
They certainly are. I think that the footage of the judge won't age well because, you know, taking off the glasses and smiling as it's some kind of comedy show, which it might be to him, is not a good look because judges are supposed to be neutral. They're supposed to metaphorically be wearing that blindfold of justice and just expressing that neutrality on their faces and just responding to the facts that are presented in the four walls of the courtroom. And it's any defendant's worst nightmare if you walk into a courtroom and you think the fix is in or the judge already has made up his mind. So that's just a general macro point, let alone if the defendant actually is Donald Trump. It's a crazy case. I think everybody sort of sees that, where the basics of it is...
That's the most crucial thing. I mean, the optics of everything we've just seen, yeah, that's not great. But the substance of this case, this is where it shows it's just a show trial. It is a witch hunt. It really devalues, and you can see why people have such trouble having faith in the justice system currently in the US when you've got nonsense like this occurring.
That's kind of the meta point, right, in terms of what's happening here. Loss of trust, crisis of credibility. Every time this happens, there is a consequence to that in terms of the country. And if you look at the span of history, the surefire decline of any civilization is when people lose faith in the justice system, more than anything else, more than elections, more than other norms. And I think that's just a problem. The other thing is, it really is going to put away good people from running for public office, because in the U.S. system, you know, we have that, and you've got other businessmen, not just Trump, that like to run for office, the Romneys of the world or the Glenn Youngkins of the world. And you look at this, and I do think it's going to actually cause people like that not to run because their entire business be up for grabs because of some judge or some elected political attorney general.
They're targeting not just political candidates, but lawyers. They are indicting lawyers. I mean, again, we make this comparison to banana republics, third world despot nations, and you just do not expect this to be happening in the US.